Flying has become routine for many of us, but even seasoned travelers don't always know the things you should absolutely avoid doing on a plane. First, no bare feet. It's one of the biggest no-nos in air travel. Even if we ignore the obvious smell issues, airplane floors are incredibly dirty. People with foot infections may have walked the aisles barefoot before you. Dirt from previous passengers builds up, and the bathroom floor? You don't want to know. If you need to slip off your shoes, at least keep your socks on or bring lightweight slippers. Remember, cabin air is extremely dry. About 20% humidity, similar to the Sahara. That's why your skin can feel tight or irritated after a flight. Why not install humidifiers? Because they would add weight and cost airlines a lot. And more humid air can cause corrosion since plane bodies are mostly metal. So bring moisturizer and use it during the flight. Always secure your tray table once the plane starts moving and never lower it during takeoff or landing. It's a safety rule to keep the path clear in case you need to evacuate quickly. Keep your seat upright during these phases too. A reclined seat slows down evacuation by blocking the row behind you, and it makes it harder for you to get into the brace position if needed. Try not to fall asleep during or immediately after takeoff and landing. It's not great for your health. Air pressure in the cabin changes rapidly and affects the pressure in your ears. You need to be awake to yawn, swallow, or chew gum to equalize it. If you're asleep, you can't do that, and it can lead to lasting ear problems. Plus, most accidents happen during these phases, and you need to be alert in case something goes wrong. The next tip comes from the Environmental Protection Agency. They recommend skipping hot drinks on planes. The water used for coffee and tea isn't bottled. It comes from the aircraft's onboard tanks, which are often old and can harbor bacteria. A 2004 study found over 12% of samples contained harmful organisms. If you still want a hot drink, don't try to pour it yourself. Flight attendants are trained to handle hot liquids safely in cramped aisles and won't spill it on you or others. It might also be better not to order Coke on a plane. Low cabin pressure makes soft drinks foam like crazy. Flight attendants don't want to hand you a cup of bubbles, so they fill it halfway, wait for the foam to settle, then fill the rest. That can take forever. Keep your air vent open. It helps reduce the spread of germs. Airplane filters are high quality. They catch up to 99% of airborne particles, so you're pretty safe. But do wipe the tray table. It has more bacteria than the toilet flush button and is actually the dirtiest surface on board. Another thing to avoid is leaning your head on the window. You never know who touched it before you, and honestly, the glass is covered in germs. Skip backless sandals and high heels on a flight. There are real safety reasons. Both types of shoes make quick evacuation harder, and high heels can puncture the emergency slides, meaning you'd be forced to take them off anyway. And trust me, you really don't want to run across hot pavement or grass barefoot. Wear sturdy shoes with solid soles. Don't shove heavy items into the overhead bins. In turbulence, they can fall out and injure you or other passengers. If it's tough to lift, it's honestly safer to place it under the seat in front of you or stow it elsewhere. Don't blame the pilots for a hard landing in bad weather. Sometimes they're actually doing it on purpose. If the runway is wet or covered in snow, the aircraft needs to touch down firmly to break through the water layer and avoid aquaplaning. Otherwise, that water acts like a lubricant, and the plane just won't brake properly or respond well to controls. Deploying an emergency slide when there's no emergency is a terrible idea. It can delay the flight for hours and cost the airline thousands just to repack an undamaged slide back into its container. Why do people do it? Some think it'll help them get off the plane faster. That's completely wrong. Don't be that person. Never ignore the crew's instructions to keep window shades open during takeoff and landing. It lets flight attendants see outside, judge the situation, and react quickly if they need to organize an evacuation. For example, if there's a fire near one exit, they can redirect everyone to a safer door. Avoid bringing spray deodorants or shaving foam in your carry-on. Both can burst mid-flight and aren't allowed on board. Stick deodorant is a much safer choice. Also, never pack power banks in checked bags, and if you bring one in your carry-on, it should be no more than 20,000 milliamp hours. You shouldn't use them during the flight either, because they can overheat and ignite. Lithium batteries are generally safe, but since they store a lot of energy, they can catch fire if mishandled, damaged, or poorly made. They've caused multiple fires on aircraft and during ground handling. Don't stress about airport scanners. They aren't harmful, otherwise airport workers couldn't stand near them without protective gear. Even when you walk past a baggage scanner, honestly, your risk is extremely low. And finally, don't act like a jerk on board. Just behave. You seem like someone who will anyway. Also, never try to land a plane yourself. Seriously. You know, movies often show a situation where both pilots are incapacitated and some heroic passenger takes over, but in real life, it doesn't work like that. Even if someone is brilliant, plays top-tier flight simulators that match the real aircraft perfectly, and listens to every instruction from the ground, they'll most likely fail for one simple reason: stress. Yes, amateurs have landed small private planes after the pilot became unable to fly. But there has never been a single case of a non-professional successfully landing a commercial airliner. That only happens in Hollywood. That's all for today. If this cleared up some questions, give the video a like and share it with your friends. And if you want more, just click on the other videos and stay on the bright side.